The news and content for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is not stopping here. We're getting another character trailer premiere in about 16 hours, or on June 27th at 7:49 a.m. That's my local time that this is premiering, but you've got the actual official time here. 3:20 PST or 12:20 CEST on June 26th is when this is dropping. We don't know what it's going to be, because none of this has appeared in V-Jump or anything like that. There's no character like teasers or none of that sort of thing, which is actually really exciting because we're going into this blind. We have no idea what's going to be here, and I'm very excited, and I'm really hoping it's going to be like GT, because, you know, we haven't seen really anything of GT. We've seen a lot of Dragon Ball Super characters, we've seen some Z character, well, we've seen a lot of Z characters, so it only makes sense if it's GT. But let me know in the comments below what you guys want it to be. And we're going to be looking at a thread here, okay? This is an interview, a new interview with Jun Furutani, who is the producer of Sparking Zero. So this is going to be full of information for the game. And if you like Sparking Zero or anything Dragon Ball, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. And let's go. So this new interview with Jun Furutani starts here, and this is an exclusive interview with Famitsu.com. And Mr. Furuya, what kind of career path did you take before becoming the producer of this project? Up until now, I worked as an assistant for other licensed titles, and most recently, I was involved in the management of Dragon Ball Fighters. I've also worked as a producer for ported titles. This is the first time I've served as a producer for a Dragon Ball game title. So, man, if this is your first game that you're producing and it's going to be this good, then you're cooking. Definitely, you'll be able to do way more. Of course, this is a game for Dragon Ball fans, but as a fan, I hope it will also be a gateway to Dragon Ball. First of all, as a game, it is called the Sparking series, so I think that people who like Sparking will definitely enjoy it. On top of that, we're developing it as a work for Dragon Ball fans, so that even if you have one favorite character, you can enjoy it. People who don't know Dragon Ball may not understand why there are so many characters, but I want them to know that the world of Dragon Ball is that wide. And even if you look at it purely as a fighting action game, it is a game where you can enjoy a very speedy and deep strategy. So even if you are someone, who only knows the name, we would be very happy if you could try this game and start to like the original work from here. So it is pretty cool. You know, you could buy the game, and then it'll be like a little gateway forward to the anime and whatnot, like Daima, you know, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Kai, GT as well, all those series. So that's pretty cool. Is there a search function for custom battles published online? Yes, you will be able to search by difficulty level, various conditions and tags. We're currently making adjustments. So this kind of reminds me of the like Super Dragon Ball Heroes World mission game, where people could make their own levels and stages that you could fight with certain characters. And you could also like search it via, like, you know, searching a character name or, you know, arc or whatever. And I think that's actually a pretty cool thing that we can search that, right? You said that there will be unlockable elements, but what do you imagine them to be? Will you save up points and purchase them? Some elements can be unlocked by collecting points, and some can be unlocked by clearing episode battles. As I mentioned earlier, some can be unlocked in extra battles. So that is interesting. I love unlockables, and it makes me happy that not everything is handed to us right away. I love being able to work for the things that we go to unlock. I think that's a very, very fun aspect of, you know, these games in general, and it's just very, very fun because then everyone's on a even playing field, and, you know, everyone's got to unlock everything from the very start. For custom battles, is it possible to publish just the scenario? No, you can't. The main focus is on the battles, and you can create a little scenario. Conversely, you can choose not to set any lines and just have the battles. After that, we want the players to enjoy it freely. So that is interesting. So you have to create a little scenario. Well, I like that a lot, actually. As a result, the battles may be a bonus and the scenarios may be the main focus. I don't know what will happen after the release, but even if that happens, I think it's fine if people enjoy it. Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see how it all goes though. I'm looking forward to it. As for the custom battle, it seems like it will be difficult to develop, especially the dialogue editing. Even though you can only use set words, it seems like users will be able to slip through the holes. So like this is kind of, you know, how people create like weird things. So The producer says we try to avoid that as much as possible and want everyone to treat Dragon Ball with love. However, depending on the situation, we think that the management will have to deal with such cases. So, yeah, that's up to everyone to deal with that. So, it is what it is. At first glance, it looks like you've just changed it to first-person perspective, but in reality, you have to create parts that don't need to be visible in a normal movie scene, so it actually takes a lot of work, doesn't it? And then Famitsu says, that's right, with normal cuts, you can lie about the direction. Normally, you can put characters in impossible positions. However, since the direction requires switching between the normal position and a subjective viewpoint in real time, it was actually a very difficult challenge. Because of this, it was limited to a few scenes, but I hope you enjoy various scenes from the perspective of each protagonist. I'm very excited because so far we've just seen the Goku ones. We haven't seen first-person points of view from different characters, and I have a feeling it's going to be incredibly exciting to be able to see, different like first-person points of view, because we've never seen that before. So since we are going to be going from like Dragon Ball all the way to the Tournament of Power, Dragon Ball Z, I don't know if they're going to be doing OG Dragon Ball, but the start of Z all the way to like Tournament of Power, it'll be interesting to see some first-person points, maybe even like when Frieza. Especially when Goku and Frieza push Jiren out of the ring. I think a first person for that would just be sick. Like, that'd be one of the coolest things I think we could see. Is that why you added a first person perspective to the movie scenes to add some accent? That's part of it, but as a result of placing emphasis on role playing, we wanted people to experience what Goku was feeling at that time, so we added a first person perspective. And I think that is really cool as well, because now you get to actually see what Goku was going for. Oh, when Goku got hit with the special beam cannon, like, you could almost be there, man. Like, that's crazy and very, very exciting. The episode battles also depict what-if scenarios. But was this adopted because it was so popular in the Sparking series? In Sparking Meteor, I'm sure that there were players who enjoyed the exciting what-if scenarios, wondering, what would happen if I could defeat a strong enemy? Of course, reliving a story you already know is fun in itself. But for example, in this game, when you become able to control Goku while in the fight against Raditz, and you overcome the battle with a strong enemy, an experience you've never seen before awaits you. So, I think when you defeat Raditz without Goku dying, he never gets King Kai's training. So then Krillin gets killed and Goku goes Super Saiyan instead of having Kaioken. So that's going to be very, very interesting if that's how that what if goes, if it connects. Goku's episode battle will be depicted from the Raditz arc to the Tournament of Power arc. The fact that characters such as Dragon Ball Superhero will appear in the DLC means that the characters participating are not limited to that, right? For example, the original Dragon Ball anime. And Furuya says, I'm sorry, that also relates to the characters, so I can't really answer that question. All I can say is that if you choose Goku as the main character in the episode battle, you can enjoy the series from the Battle of Raditz to the Tournament of Power, which is very exciting. So I really can't wait to do the Goku Black arc. I think that is one of my favorite arcs for sure in Dragon Ball Super, even if it kind of fumbled towards the end big time with Zamasu kind of destroying that whole timeline and Omni King showing up to blow everything up. Speaking of which, I didn't even think about this. Are we going to be able to play as the Omni King? Because, oh man, I don't even want to think about that. That's just freaky. Like, are we going to be able to play? Because we had Whis playable. Are we going to play as other Gods of Destruction? Are we going to have other, angels playable? That would be pretty interesting, right? If that's the case. So definitely let me know if you guys want to see something like that. Okay, now I gotta, open this one. Android 18 was the normal one, while Android 17 had the super mark and was wearing the super costume. Is it possible to change costumes in this game? I can't tell you about the characters, however, just like in previous games, there are some characters who can change their costumes if they want to fight in this costume at this time. And then, so for the characters whose performance doesn't change much between Z and Super, there are no super versions, but there are super costumes. And then Furuya says that might happen, or it might not, laughs. The costumes change depending on the situation and damage during the battle, so I hope you enjoy the small details. Right? Then we have another thing here. The system is inspired by Dragon Ball. I heard that the direction this game is aiming for is not a highly competitive battle. If you're familiar with the series, you'll understand that the battles in this game are like, let's play Dragon Ball, but I think that feeling is hard to convey to new players. That's exactly right. I want you to think of it as a fighting action game where you can play Dragon Ball. I'm sure some fans have their own preferences. Like when this move comes, you should return it with this move, not avoid it. So beam struggles. Or, the appeal of this game is that you can perform these actions with your own hands as much as possible. However, it's not a casual game, and you can enjoy deep tactics as you improve your skills. We're not throwing away the balance of the battles, so we are currently adjusting it so you can enjoy online battles for a long time. However, unlike esports titles, we do not have the idea of emphasizing fairness between characters. Instead, we place importance on the character's personality. So there's no like balance in terms of like esports level competitiveness where things have to be balanced. Otherwise, if one thing's broken, it becomes a meta. Certain characters, like super characters, will naturally be stronger than like early Z characters and things like that. But I feel like that's where the fun challenge is gonna show up and show off a real skill, where players start defeating others with like early like Z characters versus end of super type thing. I think that's gonna be very cool. And then this series is a game where you don't defend well, you're often attacked one-sidedly. I felt that the introduction of Revenge Counter made it easier to defend. That's true, but if anything, it's the result of emphasizing the action of Dragon Ball. In Dragon Ball, there are scenes where you can counterattack even after being attacked and land a counter. We introduced this new system based on the opinion that that's what Dragon Ball is all about. Also, up until now, Kamehameha waves were not repelled in the game, but we thought that Dragon Ball is all about being able to bounce back Kamehameha waves, and so we created a system where you can prepare for various attacks and counterattack. For various attacks, Kamehameha waves such as the Ultimate Blast released in Sparking State cannot be bounced, but this system will allow you to enjoy more Dragon Ball-like action. Then, when I tried out the game, I was very happy that as a fan, I felt that it was a very essence of Sparking. There are some new actions such as short dashes, but the basics seem to follow the feel of the series. Thank you, I wanted you to enjoy the fun of Sparking as it is, so I tried to make as few changes as possible to the base system. I'm relieved that the reaction was as I intended. On top of that, we introduced systems such as Revenge Counter and Super Identification to increase the range of tactics. The field is much larger than before, and we've added short dash to allow for more detailed actions. As for new elements, there are elements used in battles between advanced players, but we've added them to allow players to enjoy a deeper battle experience, which is pretty cool as well, and I'm glad that there's more mechanics than it being as simple as Xenoverse 2, where it's just break their stamina and then take them out, you know? Like, who loses their stamina first? That's literally the game, right? Then, even though it branched out into Raging Blast, there was a gap of about 17 years, and I feel like perfection of Sparking Meteor was too high. What is the actual situation? We believe that Sparking Meteor is extremely well made, both in terms of the range of action and number of characters, since the technology platforms and other aspects of the environment have evolved significantly over the years. We felt that if we made the latest installment of Sparking series in the current environment, it would surely surpass the previous installment, and we were able to take the plunge, which is very cool. And this is actually a big one here. As an action game, I think the Dragon Ball Raging Blast series was a spiritual sequel to Sparking. Judging from the title, it's a sequel to Sparking after all. That's right, the Raging Blast series is a series that was made in a different direction from Sparking, while inheriting the fun of action. We had heard from fans that they wanted to play a new Sparking series, so we decided to take on Sparking this time, which is very cool. So, who knows, maybe we could even get a Raging Blast down the road. Because, you know, if you've been in the Dragon Ball community for a long time, you'll know that Treevax has made like this crazy, like, it's been working on this project of like making the coolest like ultimate Dragon Ball game ever. Like, it had everything in it, and he's been pitching it for years. And I feel like this might be the one, or we might get another type thing later on that's going to be that true embodiment. But time has to tell. We haven't played the game yet, so we don't know. But I'm really excited to see that it might even be something similar to that. Dragon Ball has a very wide fan base, including the generation that was directly affected by the original manga, the generation that was born with Dragon Ball Kai, and the generation that grew up with the recent Dragon Ball Super. On the other hand, there's also a generation that is not very familiar with Dragon Ball. From the perspective of the game, what do you think about the fan base? If you like any of the Dragon Ball games, we aim to make it enjoyable. Sparking Media was released about 17 years ago, and I think it was mainly aimed at the generation that was first exposed to the original manga and watched Dragon Ball Z, which is me. I watched Dragon Ball Z. I wasn't alive when the manga came out, but, you know, I watched Dragon Ball Z growing up. I think players of that generation can get into this game as it is, and fans of Dragon Ball Super will enjoy it, as there are characters from that series. And now we got a few extra questions. In episode battle movies, you can enjoy some scenes from a subjective perspective, but are there perspectives other than Goku's? It will be from the perspective of the main character chosen in the episode battle. So there may be others besides Goku, however we cannot reveal who the other main characters are, so please wait for further information to find out whose perspective you will be able to see. How many movie scenes will be from the perspective of the main character? This is a mode for enjoying a battle, so it's limited to some scenes, right? And that makes sense. Is it possible to follow the story of Dragon Ball Super in this game? I think you can follow the flow of the story, but it unfolds as if some scenes were cut out. Rather than being able to enjoy the story from 1 to 10, the details are digested and you get to relive the surroundings of each battle. So it might not be like 1-to-1, right? Like everything translating, some bits might get skipped, but at least we know that it's not gonna be like Kakarot where it cuts out like some of the most interesting scenes, or like kind of, I don't know. Kakarot was a bit disappointing in many aspects. Like, it was a great game, the visuals were fantastic, but bits that it fumbled hard, you know? But let me know what you think of this interview. Are you excited for the new character reveal trailer, and who do you think will be in that reveal trailer? Thanks so much for watching. Have an absolute wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Peace.